This is my moment, watch me shine. I'm unstoppable, feel it in my soul. Good vibes only, I'm in control. Turn the music up, let the rhythm roll. I move my body, I'm alive, I glow. Unstoppable, dancing through the fire. Every step higher, taking me higher. Smile so big, can't hold it in. Good vibes, good life, let's begin. Every scar made me wiser. Every tear lit the fire. I don't fear what's ahead.
And I am live, everybody. How are you guys doing? This is Arnath. I am the face behind this business page on Facebook, personal business page, and YouTube. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday. How are you guys doing? So just got home, just dropped off my mom at the airport since she's going back home. So I'm gonna be a full-time mommy, guys. Gonna be a full-time mommy. Uh-oh. So let's what's happening. I'm trying to stream this live on my business page. There you go. Want to make it sure. So yes, so for those of you who doesn't know me, I'm Arnath. I'm a mom of two beautiful kids and also working in the banking industry in a leadership role and also running a successful digital business for 6 years. Yes, I just turned, oh my goodness, I just turned 6 years yesterday. I totally forgot. So now I am officially 6 years in the business. Before, I was very, very skeptical, questioning myself what if that I did. But the good news is I didn't let that what if dictate my decision. I went all in, I surrender, and now I am here 6 years later. Yes, so tonight is my day 25 of this 90 days Goran Success Challenge that I am leading with my team and some of the business partners. This is the blueprint that I created 3 years ago, and now it's still ongoing. So again, topic tonight is all about embracing the learning curve. Yeah, so it's so beautiful. This topic tonight is just really, really beautiful, and and I really want to talk about it. And it is so important, especially in a business, in a personal growth, and in life as well. And that is really, I know that impact your life as well. Because the truth is, guys, whenever we start something new, you know, every time I do go live, my voice change. Yeah, so every time we learn something new, whenever we step in a new season, right? Whenever we decide to grow, improve, build, lead, or become more, there is always going to be a learning curve that comes with it. And many people quit not because they are not capable or not because they are not smart enough and not because success is not available for to them, right? But because they become uncomfortable when things don't feel easy right away, right? And I really want to speak on this today because I know what it feels like to begin something and not immediately feel confident, right? Not immediately know what to do, not immediately feel like an expert, and not immediately see the results that you were hoping for. And sometimes that can make people feel discouraged, frustrated, embarrassed, right? Or even tempted to stop before they are even, before they ever give themselves the chance to grow i- into the person they are becoming, right? Is this resonates to you guys? So, but what I have learned in this learning curve is not proof that something is wrong. It is actually proof that something new is happening in your life. And if you are willing to stay in the process long enough, if you are willing to be teachable long enough, and if you're willing to keep moving forward even while you are still figuring things out, then one day the very thing that once felt difficult will become natural. It becomes familiar and even powerful in your hands. So today, I really want to encourage you, inspire you, and remind you that it is okay to be learning. It is okay to be in the process, right? It is okay to not have everything mastered yet, because every person who is successful today once had a season where they were awkward, they were unsure, they were inexperienced like me 6 years ago when I started this business, and still learning how to do what now looks effortless. Because, of course, I've been repetitively doing it over and over again, and that becomes familiar to me. That becomes normal to me, right? That's why growth always feels uncomfortable at first. You know, one of the first thing we have to really understand is that growth almost never feels comfortable in the beginning. Because when we are learning something new, we're stepping outside of what is familiar, right? And the mind naturally wants to stay in what feels safe, what feels predictable, right? What feels easy to control. That is why when people start a business, begin showing up on social media, for example, and learn new skill or put themselves in rooms they have never been before, they often feel nervous, they often feel uncertain and stretched, right? And they begin to question themselves simply because they are not yet comfortable in that new space. But again, guys, remember, discomfort does not mean you are on the wrong path. And discomfort does not mean you should stop, because many times discomfort is simply the sign that you are expanding beyond your old self and into a bigger version of who you are meant to be. That's why I always say that if you only stay where you already feel fully comfortable, then you will keep repeating the same patterns. That's why, what is that? And oh, it's in my, like, you're doing the same thing over and over again and you're expecting the same result. No, it's not gonna work that way. You know, like if you're doing the same habits, the same thinking, the same results, because comfort keeps you safe, right? But if growth calls you higher, and sometimes the higher call you're calling, and that is familiar, unfamiliar, right? And you you started to shrink, right? Sometimes the higher calling will feel unfamiliar before it starts feeling natural. So if you are in the season right now where things feel messy, where things feel so awkward, slow, or unclear, I really want you guys to know that this may not be a bad sign at all. It may actually be the exact evidence that you are stretching into a new level, a new identity, and a new capacity that your old self, the old version of you, simply has not learned how to carry it yet, which is really exciting. Nobody starts as an expert, guys. Do you think that I already, from day one that I started the business, I already know how to talk this way, right? I don't have that confident in the beginning, but I become courageous. You know, I become courageous. Like, you know what? It is what it is. This is this is what I signed up for, right? So again, nobody starts an expert. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is comparing their beginning to somebody else's middle, or comparing the first steps to somebody else years of growth, years of practice, repetition, and experience. We see people who speak confidently, lead powerfully, close sales naturally, or would say create content uh, consistently and show up with so much grace and certainty. And sometimes we forget that they were not born that way. They also had a beginning where they doubted themselves and made mistakes along the way and forgot what to say. And that's me in the beginning. I forgot what to say in front of the camera, overthought everything, and I am one of that people in the beginning too, and wondered if they were really cut out for it. For me, every time I go live, I feel nervous a little bit, but the only way for me to overcome that is to show up every single day, even though I don't know what I'm talking. Nobody starts as an expert, and nobody skips the beginning stage also. There's no shortcut, because every skill that looks effortless today was once difficult. It was very confusing in the beginning, and it was so uncomfortable for the person who now carries it well. So the confident, just like, for example, the confident speaker once struggled to find her words, right? The strong leader once questioned her own voice. The successful entrepreneur once made mistakes and learned through trial and error. And the person who now seems so polished once had moments where she felt unprepared, insecure, and not enough. That is why we have to stop shaming ourselves for being new, because there is nothing wrong with being in the beginning. And there is nothing wrong with needing time to grow, because beginnings are sacred, and beginnings are where character is built. And that's where what do you call that one? Humility is formed, resilience is strengthened, and the real confidence really starts to take a root. That's why repetition is the mother of learning, or the first law. Repetition is the first law of learning. So instead of being hard on yourself because you do not know everything yet, give yourself permission to learn, give yourself permission to improve, and give yourself permission to become, because mastery is not created in one moment. It is built through consistent practice over time. And that's basically what I have been doing. I did this 90 days Goran Success Challenge 3 years ago. And every year, in 1 year, I did it 3 times, because I want to support my mentees. I want to support my business partners. And the more you do it repetitively, it becomes a part of who you are. That's who you are becoming. And now it becomes so familiar to you. And now the more you do the same thing over and over again, the more you are building that perception. It comes with different meanings, because you are growing, right? You are growing, you are learning yourself, and you are mastering also the words that coming out from your mouth. Even though you're not even thinking about it, it just comes out, because you are allowing it, right? It's not like forcing something or overthinking everything. You are just allowing what your mind or what the universe is telling you to say, right? So again, the learning curve builds more than a skill, right? What is powerful about the learning curve is that it does not just build your skill, it builds your character too. And sometimes the character you develop along the way is even more valuable than the skill itself. Because, while you are learning, right, you are also becoming patient. You're becoming patient uh, on you, right? You're becoming humble as well. You're becoming more disciplined. You're becoming more resilient also. And you are learning how to keep going even when you do not feel fully ready. And that kind of growth changes you from the inside out. It's not the outside in, it's always within. And there's what they call the law of, oh my gosh, I forgot the law, but as within, so without, as so above, so below, right? So that's what they call, there's, oh my goodness, is that law of polarity? Yeah, so again, so what you have been training over and over again, that become in your inner world, then the outside world must reflect that too. So because again, many people want the result, I get it, but they do not always want the process that creates the person who can sustain the result. And that is why the learning curve matters so much, guys, because it prepares you not only to receive success, but also to carry it with maturity, wisdom, and stability. For example, when you are learning how to build a business, right? You are not only learning how to market, how to communicate, how to follow up, or how to show up online, but you are also learning emotional intelligence, self leadership, consistency, courage, right? And the ability to trust the process when there is no immediate proof yet, right? So there's so many things happening. And sometimes we think we are only learning how to do a thing when in reality, life is teaching us how to become the kind of person who can handle greater responsibility or greater visibility, greater opportunities, and greater influence, right? So never underestimate the season of learning, because it may look slow from the outside, but underneath the surface, the roots, are spreading, right? Something strong is being built inside of you. And the internal growth is what will support the external results later on. That's why, because for us, yes, we are bombarded what is happening in the outside world. Our five senses is so sensitive. We want to see the result immediately without even fixing our inner perception to ourselves, right? Like, even though you want to earn 100,000 a year, if inside of you you're still thinking or feeling that lack and limitation, you have to be in alignment. So if you want 100,000 a year, you have to really think and act like that person who is already earning 100,000 a year, and forget the outcome immediately, forget the result that you have right now. You have to train yourself, right? You have to train yourself as that person who is already earning 100,000. That's why when my mentor Bob Proctor asked us how much I earn every single year, because that is a reflection of my conditioning. It's a reflection of my self-image, right? So if you're earning 50,000 a year, because because your self-image is that person who is earning 50,000 a year. So you know what I mean? That's why you have to really have that standard, build that self-image that you are already that a winner, right? That person is earning that amount of money. That's why mistakes, and then also mistakes are a part of the process. In our business, yeah, let's talk about the mistakes, because this is where many people get stuck. And sometimes they do not quit because they are not gifted, but because they are afraid of making mistakes in front of people, afraid of looking foolish, right? Afraid of saying the wrong thing, or afraid not getting it perfect the first time. But again, guys, mistakes are not interruptions to learning process. They are a part of the learning process, you know, and every mistake carries a lesson if you're humble enough to receive it and wise enough to grow from it, right? You cannot learn deeply without being corrected, without adjusting, without trying again, and without having moments where you realize, okay, did not work the way I expected, but now I know better and I can do better. Just like when a baby, right? The baby are like probably 1 year old. Babies doesn't have any conscious mind at that age. They only have a subconscious mind. When they fall, they bang their head, they cry, and then now what? Right? That's just a temporary. And then they keep rising up. They stand up over again. They fall, they stand up. Sometimes they started walking, they bang their head, they cry. Did they quit? No, that's the learning curve. They have to master walking. And it's the same thing with a goal, right? If you have a goal that you want to manifest in your life, there's so many challenges. You are started to walk again, right? You fall back, get back up, learn from it. You know what I mean? You cry, you get frustrated, embrace it. That's the game of life that we're playing with. And sometimes people take mistakes so personally that start attaching their identity to one moment, one failure, one awkward life, or one missed opportunities, or probably one bad decision, right? But mistakes does not define you. And a temporary failure does not mean you are a failure. In fact, some of your greatest growth will come from the moments that did not go perfectly, because these are often the moments that teach you what you need to strengthen, what you need to release, what you need to improve, and where you need to mature. So do not afraid to make mistakes. Embrace it instead, because people who grow are not people who never fail. They are people who are willing to learn, adjust, stay humble, and keep moving forward without allowing one setback to stop their entire journey. That's why, again, this is my favorite word: repetition creates confidence. Because the more you repetitively do one thing over and over again, and this really reminds me of one quote that comes from Bruce Lee, that I am not afraid to an opponent practice multiple moves 1,000 times, and I am afraid to an opponent practice one move 1,000 times. Because once you practice that move, even if you close your eyes, you already know what you're doing. So yeah, so repetition is the first law of learning, and a lot of people want confidence before they begin. But most of the time, confidence does not come before action. It comes through action, and it comes through repetition, doing the same thing over and over again, as long as it is serving you. Okay? You become more confident by doing the thing again and again and again. And when it feels uncomfortable at first, because repetition builds familiarity, and that familiarity reduces fear. And that happens to me. Right. At first, I was shaky. I overthink. I was thinking about, oh my gosh, like people are watching me. And again, I had to overcome that. Right. You become more confident by doing the thing again and again and again. And the first time you go live too, it may it may feel nerve wracking, right? And the first time you talk about your business, it may feel unnatural. And the first time you create a content, right, it may feel like you are overthinking every single word. But after you keep doing it, after you keep showing up, after you keep practicing it, right, it begins to flow more naturally, because you are no longer operating only from fear. You are now operating from experience, right? That is why consistency matters so much, because every time you show up, every time you practice, and every time you keep going, right, you are becoming more comfortable with the process and more capable in the assignment that has been placed in your hands. That's why confidence is not always a feeling that suddenly appears one day and says, now you are ready. No, it doesn't work that way. Sometimes confidence is the result of proving to yourself that even when it felt hard, even when you feel uncertain, uneasy, and even when you did not feel perfect, you still showed up anyway. And there is something powerful that happens when you keep your word to yourself in the learning season because you begin to trust yourself more. And self trust creates a quiet confidence that no one can take away from you, you know, and and that is discipline. Discipline is the ability to say things to yourself and you do it, right? So again, so that's the whole process of doing the same thing over and over again. That's why stop quitting in the middle of your becoming, because there's so many people that I know that they are already in the middle, and because their team left or quit, something like that. Yeah, and then they already quit, right? And then here's the thing. Shein,
What?
can you, mommy's like,
I'm tired.
you're tired? Okay. He's tired now too. So let me wrap this up a little bit. Yeah. That's why one of the saddest things is when people quit too early, you know, not because they lack of potential, but because they walk away in the middle of becoming. Can you give me water? Go, please. Come on, come on. Okay, people is watching. Yeah, so again, they walk away. They walk away in the middle of becoming. They gave up while they were still learning. They stopped while things were still clicking into place, and they abandoned the process before breakthrough had the chance to fully happen. And sometimes it was not because they truly could not do it, but because they became tired of being in between stage. What is in between stage? In between stage is where you are no longer who you used to be, but you are not yet fully who you are becoming. And that lesson can feel frustrating.
Mom, sorry, I
Because
spilled some.
it's okay.
I spilled
Because
I spilled some on my pants by accident.
okay, go wipe it. Yeah, because again, but you cannot again. Where I am now. Again, but you cannot judge your future based only on your unfinished season, because unfinished seasons are not your final outcomes. And just because something is still developing does not mean it is not working. So think about how many people would never walk if they quit after falling, right? How many people would never drive if they quit after feeling nervous, right? Just think about it. And how many people would never build anything meaningful if they stop the moment it becomes challenging? You have to really give yourself enough grace, be gentle on yourself, and enough time to keep growing through the middle, because the middle is where endurance is developed. In the middle is where your commitment is tested too. And that's where many people lose heart, but it is also where strong people are formed. So again, let me share this one with you guys, that do not quit on yourself just because the process feels slower than expected, and do not walk away from your growth simply because you are still learning, because the very thing you are praying for now may be on the other side of your willingness to stay committed through the learning curve. That's why, again, your journey does not have to look perfect. You know, does not have to look perfect. Just give yourself permission to be in the process. Give yourself permission to evolve, right? And give yourself permission to be seen while you are still growing, because people do not connect only with the perception, they connect with your honesty, with your authenticity and your courage, right? So I think that's it's for me today. And the last part that I really want to talk about, just embrace the process. I am in the business, in the business, especially embracing the learning curve is so important, because building anything meaningful really takes time, because it takes time, the skill, the patience, and personal development. Because when people enter in the business, they often want immediate results, immediate confidence, clarity, income, income as well. But many of the things that create sustainability, success, or success are learned again through repetition, the experience, and consistent action over time. That's why, so if you are building something right now and it feels like there is a lot to learn, that does not mean you are behind. It simply means you are in the middle of the process. And if you keep showing up, keep learning, as long as you stay coachable, right, you will become stronger than you were when you began, right? So again, just be kind to yourself while you learn too. Okay, so I think that's it for me today. So I really want to remind you this, that do not be afraid of the learning curve, and and do not run from the learning curve, and do not think, oh Shin, that's not nice. That's not nice. And do not think the learning curve means you are falling, because the learning curve is often the bridge between where you are now and where you're meant to go. All right, so that's it for me, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And if this really spoke to you, I really encourage you to really remind yourself just to keep going in your journey. All right, so that's it for me, everybody. Since my son here is just like making some funny faces, thank you so much, and have a good night. You want to say bye now?
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
This is my moment, watch me shine. I'm unstoppable, feel it